Hey guys, Jonathan here with TLD with my full review of the 3rd generation iPad. Now, flat out, hands down, bar none, no questions asked, the biggest and most compelling feature of the new iPad is the Retina display. It packs a ridiculous 2048 by 1536 resolution on a 9.7 inch display, which in comparison to the iPad 2's display offers twice the linear resolution and 4 times the total pixel density, which equates to 264 ppi. And that's pixels per inch for you perverts out there. Now, it is literally impossible to show off the quality of this display through video. It just can't happen. Let's assume you're watching on a 1080p monitor, which is what this video was filmed and uploaded in. The Retina display has a million more pixels than Full HD's 1920 by 1080 resolution. I took a few screenshots from the iPad 2's display and then lined them up with a few screenshots from the Retina display to give you a ballpark idea of what the difference actually looks like. The first shot is a dock comparison where you can clearly see how much sharper the Retina display is. The text, the detail and clarity of the icons, and most noticeably is how jagged and pixelated the edges of the iPad 2's icons look in contrast to the Retina display. Next up is a keyboard comparison between the two, and again you can see how much sharper the text is on the Retina display. And finally, to put things in perspective, this is a full display screenshot from the iPad 2's display placed directly on top of a Retina display screenshot, which shows off just how massive the new iPad's display is. With that said, this is hands down the best mobile display I've seen to date. Web browsing, email, and pictures look fantastic. They're extremely vivid, detailed, and you kind of just get consumed in the content. I did, however, notice that when watching 1080p iTunes content on the new iPad that it wasn't that noticeable a difference when compared to the iPad 2's display. The Retina display was a little clearer, slightly richer, but definitely nothing to go throw your iPad 2 on eBay and run over to the Apple Store to pick up the new iPad over. Now, internally, the new iPad is powered by an A5X processor, which essentially is the same as the iPad 2, but now features quad-core graphics instead of dual-core. We also see a bump in RAM from 512 megabytes to a full gigabyte on the new iPad, but specs aside, it won't really feel any faster, and here's why. When benchmarking both the iPad 2 and the new iPad, with the display turned off and only the GPU being tested, the new iPad crushed the iPad 2. You can clearly see the performance increase, but when I ran the same benchmark with both screens enabled, they perform nearly identical, which leads me to believe that all the extra processing power is going straight to the Retina display. So again, it's not going to feel any faster than the iPad 2, which honestly was never slow to begin with. Aesthetically, not much has changed on the outside of the new iPad. It's slightly thicker, slightly heavier due to the bigger battery, but increase is minimal and it really didn't bother me at all. We still have our traditional home button, 30-pin connector and speaker located near the bottom. Towards the top, we have a front-facing VGA camera. We have our headphone output, sleep-wake button, volume rockers up and down, and a mute button above that. The rear-facing camera, which has been dubbed the eyesight camera, is now 5 megapixels and shoots in 1080p. With that said, here's a few test pictures taken from the new iPad, and honestly, I felt like an idiot taking these, but you can see they look decent, nothing mind-blowing, but definitely not bad if you ever had to use your iPad as a camera or as a last resort. So we'll look at one last picture and hop over to a 1080p video test. So we are filming a 1080p video recording test. Got Melody to the left and Big Mac to the right. They are looking at this, so let's see if it can autofocus onto their dog treat. Maybe not. Here you go, Big Mac. Melody, drinking some water. Hey, you getting one too? Yo, chill out. So there's no denying that the new iPad's camera is good, but honestly, it was a dumbass move on Apple's part to throw the good camera on the back and leave us with a crappy-ass VGA non-HD front-facing camera, where honestly, it would get more use using it for things like Skype, FaceTime, so on and so forth, and besides, who the hell shoots video with a tablet? Now, two of the questions I get most about the new iPad are A, does it have Siri? And the quick answer to that is no, which leads to question B, and that is why the hell not? To be honest, I'm not sure why they didn't include it on the new iPad. If I had to take a guess, I'd say because it's still officially in beta, but maybe we should ask Siri herself. Siri, why aren't you on the new iPad?
The iPad can't handle this ass.
Now, jokes and Siri aside, they did include voice dictation, which honestly I use more on my iPhone 4S than I use Siri, so here's a quick example of voice dictation in action. Yo, Steve, comma, iPad, greater than sign, Windows tablet, period. You mad, bro? Question mark. So alongside the Retina display, the other major noticeable upgrade is the addition of 4G LTE. If you're in the US, you can opt for either Verizon or AT&T LTE, but in my experience testing both out, Verizon smashed AT&T. I couldn't get an AT&T LTE signal to save my life. Now with Verizon, complete opposite story. I was getting ridiculous speeds of about 10 to 20 megabits per second down and up, and the cherry on top is that they offer a hotspot feature for no additional charge. Lastly, we'll look at battery life, which impressively retains the same 10-hour battery life as the iPad 2 and even claims claims to get around 9 hours on 4G. Upon testing the 4G LTE model, I got around 8 to 9 hours performance, which is right on spot with what Apple claims, so definitely no disappointment there. But I did notice because the new battery is so large that it takes a lot longer to charge as opposed to the iPad 2, which isn't a huge deal as long as the performance is there, but I can definitely see how some people might be annoyed when they were used to the charging speeds from the iPad 2. So in conclusion, I feel that while the new iPad is still the best tablet on the market, there isn't enough there to ditch your iPad 2 for. Now, if you've never owned an iPad, or you're upgrading from the first generation, or even if you want to upgrade for something like a Kindle Fire or a lower end tablet, then hell yes, I would wholeheartedly recommend the new iPad. The Retina display looks incredibly sharp, 4G LTE is a fantastic addition, and battery life is awesome. But again, if you're an iPad 2 owner, there isn't enough of a real world difference that I could honestly recommend upgrading, especially if you're happy with what you got. So thank you guys for watching the video. If you're feeling like being awesome, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It is much appreciated. If you guys are interested in checking out an in-depth comparison between the new iPad and the iPad 2 as far as benchmarks, loading, apps, all that good stuff, go and click the video right here. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so by clicking this annotation, and I will see you guys later.